Good day. Hope all is well. I'm currently out here doing not what it looks like, pitting cherries. And I wanted to talk about this concept of balance and flow as it in regards to growing food and homesteading and just whatever things you do. Now, first off, we get that is so good. We get a box of cherries, about 16 pounds from First Fruit. We get whatever seconds they have every week, and it's Boulder's Farmers Market, and I love getting seconds because they're cheaper and they're like not perfect, but I mean, look at these things. It's pretty perfect to me. In our world, we can go into the grocery store and get whatever the hell we want. You can go in and get tomatoes in the middle of winter, and I mean, you can call it a tomato, but to me it's like might as well just be it's like as close to a tomato almost as like ketchup is. So the more I get into this growing thing and what have you, the more seasonality just makes sense. You're gonna get the freshest, most vibrant, alive stuff, and then you can can and preserve things, and have stuff all winter. And I'm not to say we grow and can and preserve all our own stuff, but every year it's more and more and more. Every year we're getting closer to that place of not being self-sufficient, but being hyper-local and either growing or trading and gifted and what have you, as much as we can. Now, when it comes to picking place to live, different people are like, oh, I love Pacific Northwest. There's so much water, and water is abundant there, but it's scarce in so many places, and water is so important. Or, oh, I love trees, or oh, I love the desert, because there's a million reasons why people choose to live where they live. But when we talk about resources and abundance, it's kind of a flawed way of talking in some sense, because I find that whatever you have, you can make it work if you're creative. You could turn the desert into an oasis, if you have the right understanding, and if you take the time. It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, but you can create so much lushness in places where there isn't lushness. And just because a place has a lot of water doesn't automatically mean that sometimes too much water, everything's in balance, right? Too much water can also be an issue as well. Our good friends over at Elk Run, they bought a piece of land that they were told they couldn't really do anything on, and now you go and it's like an amazing food forest, just abundant, and they have very little water, and yet they've figured out systems to make that work. So the reason I bring that up is because I see how easy it is in our world to get envious of other people. Like, you watch these homesteading people, and it's like so just, oh my God, they have this land, they have 20 acres, and they have cows, and they have horses and pigs, and they grow their own food and make their own breads and do all this stuff. And it's easy to kind of idealize things and see somebody's life and feel some sense of it's one thing to be inspiration, but to feel some sense of like either jealousy or envy or whatever it might be. And I really want that, and it's like, cool, nothing wrong with being inspired by what people have, and to learn and grow from, in some ways, what other people have shared, and also recognize that none of that stuff really matters. I was talking to Nick at Elk Run recently, and he was just talking about really designing life around the quality of life that you want to have, because otherwise you can get into a place where the farm really starts to run you and not the other way around. And I just find that concept fascinating, because in this world of assuming what abundance looks like, people think that, oh, once I'm self-sufficient, I have everything I need, and all my animals and all my veggies, and then I'll have security, and I'll have balance, and da 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 da. And to me, it's no different than the money concept of like, oh, once I have $10 million, then I'll have financial security. And you can have security in one place, but if you don't have security within yourself, it's going to show up somewhere else. People end up having health issues, or they have relationship issues. And if you make a list of all the things that matter, they each play within balance. It might be easy to say, oh, okay, well, once I have all the money in the world, then I can start homesteading, and then I can do it and be stress-free, but that's not the reality. I'm kind of like a just start now if there's something you're into. You know, I have friends who like their deepest desire is to grow food and have animals, and they're really working diligently and hard to make money in a completely unrelated job. They're like, oh, I'm going to be in the finance world, I'm going to make a ton of money, and then I can buy my homestead. And cool, you know, I get that. And also, what can you do right now? If you want to grow tomatoes, start growing tomatoes, because at some point you're going to get there. And unless you're just paying somebody to do everything for you, I find that true joy isn't in the, you know, even the picking of the fruit so much as the whole process. Every day is a new adventure, and it's not always easy. Things happen. This morning I woke up, I went where all the goats and the rabbits live, and under the goat pen I heard a tss, and you know what that is? That is a rattlesnake. And I looked under, and there was a big rattlesnake under there, and I spent the morning figuring out what to do about that. I'm not saying that's my favorite thing to experience when I wake up at 5 in the morning and start my, you know, farm chores, but it was part of it. Other days it's, you know, seeing a beautiful sunset, or chasing a rabbit around in the rain, or, you know, whatever the thing might be, you know, canning cherries. And I find that the balance is in the joy and the experience of it. Doesn't mean I don't have days where I get stressed or overwhelmed, or I just feel like I want to just lay in bed. I definitely have those days, but overall, the process of doing all these things is the joy. It's the meditation, the waking up, and the feeling in union, in connection with something that I find to be truly beautiful. Making connections with friends and neighbors, and seeing how we can support each other, and all this stuff. Because every day brings its own unique journey. And something I love about life is that even though there's even though on a very basic level it makes sense to me, it makes perfect sense how everything works out and fits together, it's the mystery, how it actually comes to play, that's beautiful. So I might see, you know, the grand design of everything, and understand the flow and the universal connection and the consciousness and da-da-da-da, but yet how it physically manifests is fascinating to me. And so just to kind of wrap this video up, if you're somebody who's feeling left out or feeling like you need to have more, there's so many access points to homesteading. And I, long before I was ever growing food or raising animals, I was living in Brooklyn, pursuing music, and guess what? I was cooking, learning that skill, and going in the parks and foraging for wild foods. And I didn't have anywhere to grow, but I was able to harvest food in Prospect Park in Central Park, and that was kind of blowing my mind at the time. And it wasn't until I looked back that I realized, oh wow, I was actually learning these skills long before I even really knew what homesteading was or how it actually fit into my life. So whatever situation you're in, know that you can be creative and find balance and have a grand old time.